Welcome to No Movies in Hell. I'm Chris Geiger.
I'm LaQuaw Scott, and today we are reviewing Black Ice, a film by Hubert Davis, the writer of the film. So this film is partly adapted from a book about Black Canadian hockey players. So the writer is Daryl Frosty, and it surprised to see that it was executive produced by LeBron James, Future, Drake, and Maverick Carter. It features a ton of hockey players, and I am not up to date with sports, period, but but it was great to see a lot of hockey players and current and legendary. So the first Black hockey player in the NHL, Willie O'Ree, as well as former hockey players, Akim Aliu, and then current hockey players like PK Subban, and Wayne Simmons. And I think this has been it just opened and exposed my eyes to how historical Canadian sports has been, especially the hockey league, but as well as the in Canada, like you assume that everything is kind of like this wonderful utopia when it comes to being accepting of folks that are very just being accepting of folks, period, right? Like you just hear nothing but positive things and attitudes and stuff. And this documentary has been extremely eye-opening. One, from a historical standpoint of the Canadian Colored Hockey League going back to the 19th century, all the way until now, and just what kids are experiencing today. So that was very long-winded intro, but this is Black Ice.
I liked it. I thought it was very eye-opening. I don't really think about hockey a lot. But when I do think about hockey, I don't really think of it as a very diverse sport. Like I think of soccer as like the most diverse sport. And then it goes down from there. So but yeah, even though I don't think of hockey or think about how diverse it is, I was surprised at how much it lacks diversity. I didn't realize. I guess partially is because they're covered up a lot, I feel like. So you don't really see.
Yeah, you usually see them on the ice and not outside the ice. But also the coverage in the US is not as much as obviously football, obviously basketball, and baseball too.
Right, which is, I mean, you would think it would be, only because they have so many games.
That's true.
They have a lot of games, and they're big ticket items. I mean, hockey tickets are as expensive as football tickets, I think.
I guess depending on the region and depending on how well they do, because I think you can get some.
That's fair.
Like, Rangers tickets if you're in New York, or the New Jersey Devils, depending on how well they do. It could be 2-for-1 situation, or it could be premium pricing.
Okay, that's fair. I think I've only ever seen an NHL hockey game in Denver, and they do tend to take it very seriously there. I like that they talked about it from the context of Canada, and the woman who kind of gave the perspective of, it's hard to confront this idea that there's systemic racism in Canada, because we think of Canada as being very accepting, and just like you said, they're super nice. And so, but they think of themselves that way too. And so
yes,
you really think about how Canadians think about themselves, right? Like you don't really think about how Americans think about themselves that much, maybe. So let's go to the slides. So this is a documentary rating, so it's hard because we have fewer categories, but yeah, I thought they did a good job with a lot of things, getting the historical footage,
yes,
and pictures from back in the day, the perspective on Africville, that was really interesting. the old footage from that location was great. I thought they did a really good job of pulling it all together. There were a lot of disparate pieces.
Mhm. I mean, I love the perspective, right? First talking about kind of the current situation where it stands with all these, really amazing hockey players, and also very inclusive of women, because um it just exposed my eyes to, the women who are kind of charting the course, whether it's from the coaching perspective. Well, not really, I guess they didn't really touch on the coaching perspective, but having that um the mentorship of having a Black female coach,
Mm.
from the player that like went to the Olympics, which is crazy. I'm like, I didn't know that. Obviously, it exposed my eyes to a lot um, of history around Canada, which is great. I also liked the end, the end towards, kind of how do we move forward? How do we teach the next generation of kids who want to be included in this sport? Um, and the representation part. Um, it's imperative that, kids are encouraged to play and give their all, and having people that look like them, and also people who support them in doing so. And so it was really heartbreaking seeing Mark's story. And of course, his is just a sample of many other stories of, kids who just love the sport, love to play, trying to do their best, and people trying to rile them up by throwing racial epithets at them, which is extremely unfortunate. And and you know uh the powers that be, when it comes to these clubs and leagues, actually need to do something about it. And I really think that, this film is a catalyst, and it can be a catalyst to a lot of conversations about, what to do in this situation, and move forward a lot of uh other sports teams and leagues that can start talking and having open conversations about, how their underrepresented players are being treated inside the locker room, and obviously in the public. And a lot of examples were given in this film. um what opened my eyes, and it's just this perfect term that kind of describes a lot of what is happening, either externally with external facing forces, but also internally. So it's like we have to accept you because we want to seem at least ex- inclusive on the outside, but on inside it's almost like a hostage situation. And so learning about the term predatory inclusion, which does not, I mean, it opened my eyes. It was like, oh my gosh, that is a perfect term to describe so many things.
Mm.
um and it playing out, almost everywhere. It's like, we need you, but we're not going to give you the support that you need to succeed. And it's still like a barrier, but you are kind of like a golden ticket to show people that we're being inclusive, and it's not fair. There needs to be uh places and spaces for everyone, and everybody should be able to be their authentic self. And yeah, as I mentioned at the top, like, I think that this film is definitely a catalyst to have those conversations in other parts of sports, other parts of organizations, to really put a spotlight on how mentally and physically taxing it is to be the first. And I thought about, like, in the film, they talk about, briefly, they talk about like Jackie Robinson and some of the players that we are aware of in the States. And, it would be great to have that perspective. You don't hear about that. And, immediately after seeing a lot of the things that are happening in the film and how people were reacting to certain situations, this is a really great, you know, test case of, how getting to a resolution for a new generation. And I highly recommend of this film. I think I gave it, yeah, pretty, like, for our deprecated, or um relevant scoring, I gave it a pretty high score.
Perfect
Because
score.
yeah, I just learned so much. Because I mean, I came into this like, listen, I don't watch sports. I don't know much about sports. I don't know much about sports players. Um, and I felt like I came in like not blind, but I came in knowing little to nothing, and I came out with so much.
Mm.
And so I definitely think that it's a recommend. And I'm very happy that I saw it and it was available, because I feel like there were like no screenings of this. So AMC, please do better. Don't leave it after a week because Barbie and Oppenheimer is coming.
Yeah, it is going to get cleared out pretty fast, I'm afraid. But the thing is, I really liked the guys who said, we're going to write a book about the history of hockey. How long do you think that'll take? I don't know, 6 months? Okay.
I I thought that was funny too. I was like, huh, I wonder if that actually happened. Absolutely not.
Right. Anytime somebody says, I want to write a book about the history of something, unless it just started last year, it's going to take you a while. Like,
The history of pickleball. Yeah.
right. Even that would probably take more than 6 months at this point, given its expansiveness. But yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was interesting when people were telling their stories of like the incidents that caused them to like question whether they should continue playing hockey.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
And you don't really hear stories like that, or I don't really hear stories like that in and it's almost like a victim statement, right? Like people, that's what it made me think of. Like when people go and say, like, someone murdered my child, like I'm gonna go to the court and talk,
Yeah.
give a victim statement. And that's what it kind of seemed like. It was so impactful.
Yes.
Like you hear
Yeah.
about racial incidents happening, but you don't hear the victim statement of like, I almost quit playing hockey. And
Yeah. Or
at an NHL level right now.
yes. Or the young man who was like, I had 13 surgeries under the age of 30. 13 surgeries under 30. And you're questioning, is this even worth it? Like, that's a lot to put on your body. That's a lot to put mentally. And he had to deal with a lot. Um, it didn't seem like there was a resolution, and you just get to this breaking point of, yeah, is this all worth it? Like this is so demanding. And then to come out and like people are supporting you, people are calling you names, and then it's like you try to take the high road, and the high road is actually being honest with yourself to be like, look, this isn't working out for me, and you're not trying to support me. You need me clearly if you want a winning team, but it has to be more than that.
Do you have anything to plug in this episode?
Yeah, so looking forward to lots of summer movie season has started. I'm actually looking forward to the Haunted Mansion. I think the more that I see trailers for it, it looks pretty good. Obviously Barbie Oppenheimer. So we discussed off podcast the Oppenheimer dilemma in New York. It is nearly impossible to find a 70 millimeter screening in IMAX. Uh, every single screening is sold out for the next week. Beyond.
There are 70 millimeter, there's a 70 millimeter showing, I think at Kips Bay or maybe Lincoln Square, but it's not IMAX.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because they have an IMAX theater, so why wouldn't they show it in the IMAX theater? Like, what is the decision-making process there?
Oh, in Kips Bay?
No, I'm sorry, in Lincoln Square.
Oh, Lincoln Square, yeah. I just feel like maybe they just have one IMAX theater. It's just
But still, like,
it's
so
just
you just have one. Use
well,
that
it's
one.
completely sold out unless you want, you know, electrons in your face, right in your face in the first, row. Which I've been in first row in that theater when I saw it must have been like Interstellar, like
I saw
a
no
long time ago.
from the first row.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that bad, but like it also wasn't 70 millimeters. So
Right. It's not the premium viewing experience you're hoping for.
Right. And it's always like I just feel like for certain films, you want that premium viewing experience. And so this one we're gonna have a belated review because of the quality of experience that we would like. So
But it'll still be worth watching, I'm sure.
yeah. I mean, spoiler alert, it'll probably look like our backgrounds here.
Yeah, Problemista looks good.
Yes,
It
yes. Oh my
doesn't-
gosh.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like little movies I think too that are coming out that are not the Barbies and the Oppenheimers of the world, but that look good, like, and they're coming out soon. So yeah, there's plenty to go around for now.
Yes.
All right, well, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.